Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Machal Be'ira Online Smicha. One of the controversial topics that there is in childbirth and in pregnancy is that there are people that make family planning. They decide if they want to have children, when they want to have children, how many children they want to have. So, of course, when we're talking about issues of sakana, that is a ball game for itself. How you have to deal with it on its own case. But just if everything is going well and both parents are healthy, definitely there is something that Chazal speak about in many places, the importance of having a nice Jewish family. And all these cheshbainis that a person makes, I'll tell you what the Sefer Chassidim writes in Siman Tov Kuf Yutes. He writes, for those that are concerned about Parnasa, having a large family is going to bring a lot of expenses, he says that, listen to what the Eibishter did. The Eibishter made that a child is able to nurse from his mother, and that was a rembez, a sign sent to you from heaven, that the Eibishter is mazmin the Parnasa for every child that comes. The parnasa for that child, the sustenance for that child, comes automatically with him. And that's why from birth, the mother is able naturally to feed him. And as based on the Gemara in Masechta Tainis, man de Yoav Chayi Yoav Mizayni. It's the same Eibishter. Whoever is the one that brings life into the world will also provide parnasa. So parnasa should not be a stumbling block of why people should challenge the Eibishter's brachas, the Eibishter's Yoav Chaya. The Eibishter gives life to. So what does Chazal say in the case where everybody is healthy? What is the encouragement? Chazal speaks about having a nice Yiddish family and never give up hope. So there are a couple of the Gemaras in Shas that speak about this statement. First of all, the Gemara says in Masechta Avodah Zarah Daf Hey Amud Aleph, Ein ben David ba ad sheyichlu kol neshama shebeguf. That Mashiach does not come until every neshama that's in the place called Guf Lamayla. Guf is like a storage home upstairs, and every time a new child is born, another neshama comes down from that, is being brought down from that place called Guf. When that storage room empties out, Mashiach comes. So it comes out, if a person is delaying bringing down another neshama from that storage place called Guf, you are delaying the coming of the Mashiach. Because Mashiach is waiting for that storage place to empty it out. Now, Tosfos says something very interesting there. Tosfos brings the name of Rabbeinu Elchanan, that this is only when Jews have children. The many Goyish families are multiplying, because this statement that Ein ben David ba ad sheyichlu kol neshamas beguf is specifically concerning Jewish children that are brought. It is also brought. Tosfos also says that, from the other hand, Chazal tell us elsewhere, Ilmolei shamru b'nei Yisrael Shtei Shabbosos miyad hayu negolim. We find that if the Yidden would have only kept properly two Shabbos, Mashiach would come right away. Isn't that a contradiction to the original statement that all the neshamas have to empty out? Says Tosfos, correct. They both work together, because if only the Yidden would keep two neshamas, Hashem would make that storage place called Guf empty out faster. How would he make it empty out faster? That the Yidden would have such large families similar to how the Yidden had in Mitzrayim, that every childbirth would not only be a single child, will be a multiplication, be a large group. For every pregnancy, there could be up to 6 children, like the Yidden had in the time of Mitzrayim. And similarly, the Gemara says in Sanhedrin that there's two possibilities for Mashiach to come, either be'ita or ba'achishana, either in its standard time, or you could hasten it up. How could you hasten it up if the storage room is still full? If the Yidden behave, then the storage room will empty out faster because many more children will be born at every pregnancy. But what we see from this is Chazal connect clearly every child being born as a quicker way to bring Mashiach. So if a person made his calculation and says, I'm not having children, all right, we're going to have to wait a little longer for Mashiach. So he's delaying the coming to Mashiach. In the Sefer Binyan Abayis, he brings what is the importance of the mitzvah of Pirya V'Ribya. He says a very fascinating things. He says the world, the main purpose of the world is so there should be multiplication, so we should multiply, and a person should have legacy. And how do we see the great importance of this? Because there are very few mitzvahs that the Eibishter says, I'm your partner. Most of the mitzvahs of the Torah, Hashem says, this is my commandment to you, and you get the job done. Over here, the Eibishter becomes a shutif. There's the father, the mother, and Hashem, all three together create a child. So we see that since the Eibishter Hashem sees this being such an important importance for the Kiyum Ba'olam, that he becomes a partnership in the creation of every child, in the birth of every child. The Gemara Masechta Nida Daf Yud Gimel says that those who marry young children, those who marry young in a way that they can't even have children, they are delaying Mashiach. Or you marry somebody who can't have children because you don't want children, you're delaying Mashiach. The Gemara also says, Tanya, Abelezer Eimer, Kol Mi She'eino Osek B'Pirya V'Ribya, anybody who doesn't get involved in bringing children to the world, Ki'ilu Shoifech Damim, you are considered a killer. Why are you considered a killer? You spilled innocent blood. Because it is explained, there is somebody waiting to be born. There is some neshama that is waiting to be born, and you're not allowing him to be born. It's equivalent to killing him. Rabbi Yaakov Omer, the Gemara says, Rabbi Yaakov says, Ke'ilu mimai tadmus, you're decreasing the demus, the structure, the form of what the world is supposed to look like. Because the Torah says, B'Tselem Elikim Asa Adam. And you are not allowing the Tselem Elikim to spread if you're not interested in growing a family. The Gemara also says in Yevamis Daf Samach Gimel Amud Beis, Taner Rabbanan uvenuchai, and when they are in rest, Yoimar Shuva Hashem Rivavos Alpha Yisrael. Rivavos Alpha Yisrael, each is plural, hundreds of thousands of the Jews. Says the Gemara, Ein Hashchina Shaira Al Pachis Mishnei Alafim Ushnei Rivavos Mi Yisrael. The only time the Shechina dwells amongst Klal Yisrael, if you have the grand picture, you have Rivavos, plural, and you have Alafim, plural. So imagine you have 599.9 thousand Jews, but you're missing one, Ein HaShechina Shaira, because the Gemara says the Shechina needs the whole family, everybody. So for everybody who's able to bring that one person in, to cap the amount that there should be the Shechina, he is causing the Shechina to come down. And if you're not allowing the Shechina to be here. The Acherim say, in the Gemara quotes, that Geirim l'Shechina shetashtalit mi Yisrael. If somebody doesn't have children, he causes that the Shechina should be pushed away from amongst Yidden. The Gemara in Masechta Pesachim Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis says, Shiva Menuda l'Shemayim. The Gemara lists off 7 different people for the way they behave. They are excommunicated from heaven, and one of them is either a Yid that doesn't marry, or a Yid that gets married but doesn't have children, insists not to have children. And by the way, Sfarim point out there's very few things that are bulletproof that if you have a relationship and you take something or you do something, you're guaranteed not to have the child. There's almost very few things that are bulletproof, and we have a pasuk we have a proof from a pasuk in Parshas Bereshis. In Parshas Bereshis, it said that the Lamech married two women. One he wanted to have children with, and one he wanted just to have his wife, a pretty lady. And he didn't want to have children with them. And he thought he did the right thing, that with this wife he won't have children, and with that one he did. It turns out that with the two women that he had, specifically, both of them ended up having children, despite what he did to try not to have children with both. And Dafka, from the one that he didn't want to have children with, that's what the world was recreated from after the Mabul. So nothing you could try from today to tomorrow. Nothing is guaranteed, and even if you try, you're trying something that the Eibishter, the Chazal tell us very heavy things. The Torah tells us that it's Ma'akev the Bias Mashiach. It also shows that when you're getting married, you're not getting married for the sake of the mitzvah to multiply. It says, God forbid, that you're shofech dam. It says that you're increasing the length of golus, and these are things that we have to be very, very careful.